Rejoice! For once again, it is time for an episode of Cheap and Cheerful. Okay, so that rejoicing thing is probably a real small exaggeration, but obviously the new episode part is not. This time around, I've got my sights set on 3 first-person puzzlers: Portal, Antichamber, and Conundrum. Onward, to opinions! I'm just going to set the bar right from the start and talk about Portal first. To be honest, it surprises me that there are still people that haven't played it at this point. For those that don't know, Portal is a science fiction physics puzzler that has you progressing through rooms by placing 2 portals, imagine that, and using them to accomplish various tasks, from pushing buttons to simply traversing the level. This unique mechanic truly does take some brain juice to master, but is sufficiently rewarding when you do. On top of that, you get some of the most well-written and executed dark humor in gaming.
Please note that we have added a consequence for failure. Any contact with the chamber floor will result in an unsatisfactory mark on your official testing record, followed by death. Good luck.
Sure, some of the memes have become overused and a bit trite, but those aren't the funniest bits, so even if you're tired of hearing about the cake's tenuous grasp on existence, there's still plenty to make you laugh. Honestly, I should have probably started this channel with Portal, since several times already I've mentioned what I call the Portal Zone, i.e. a game's run length that isn't unsatisfyingly short, but still doesn't overstay its welcome by being too long. The only way to hit this is superb pacing, in which Portal puts on a clinic. Introduce the world, introduce the mechanics, right when those are becoming familiar, throw in a plot twist, and ramp up story and difficulty to the finale. Very little time is wasted on padding, and everything is pretty much a teaching moment or a payoff from a previous teaching moment. This means the relatively concise 3 to 5 hours needed for your first run pack as much action and variety as games with run times 2 to 3 times longer. Of course, you can't talk value without talking cost. The base US price is $10, but sees frequent discounts throughout the year, usually down to $2.50 or less. Obviously the sale price is a no-brainer, but I'd be hard-pressed to call it unworthy of its full price, given the level of quality you're getting. I'll probably cover Portal 2 in more detail at some point in the future, but I think it's worth pointing out now that the bundle with both 1 and 2 is clearly the best deal for Portal-based gaming. Overall, Portal is one of those rarities that hits all the aspects of value, quality, fun, time, and cost, and is a game that should be on every gamer's backlog shortlist. For every wild success, there are a dozen more games trying to imitate their way into the same spotlight. Such is the story with our next game, Quantum Conundrum. In this title, you play a kid visiting his eccentric uncle when things go haywire, of course. You must use one of his inventions, a glove that allows you to switch between several dimensions with alternate physical properties, heavy, light, slow motion, and reversed gravity, to save the day. Using these powers, you mostly move boxes around, activating pressure plates or switches, and building platforms for moving through the levels. The art style and writing is decidedly more kid-friendly than the other games we're looking at, and in fact it feels a lot like the developers wanted to make Portal but for kids, with many of the same elements, like an unseen character speaking to you throughout. As an adult who has experienced Portal, the entire thing was underwhelming, and is extra disappointing given the potential of the unique mechanics. The writing and humor is flat, and the puzzles often just rely on being able to properly time your button mashing to keep a box floating in the air, and absurd trial and error timing puzzles, rather than any sort of real problem solving. For all its flaws, it's well put together, and does feature a fairly decent amount of content. Unfortunately, for my taste, it shot past the sweet spot a little, and ended up overstaying what little welcome it had, going from bearable to tedious in the last few hours. This is especially the case if you end up with the Season Pass and its 2 DLC packs. More on this in a bit. All said, this will get you in the range of 10 to 12 hours with the DLC and 3 to 4 hours less without. The pricing of this game is a little wonky, and the cost value you get depends on the retailer you buy from. This is just at base price. Sales throw it all out the window, of course. Across the board, the base game seems to be selling for $9. That's simple, but it's when you start looking into the DLC that things get more complex. On Steam, the DLC packs are sold separately for a few dollars each, and there is no Season Pass option. By contrast, Green Man Gaming sells an additional Season Pass version that includes the base game and the 2 DLCs for $10. I won't usually call out specific retailers, but in this case it would be a disservice not to. these prices actually make the cost of time value pretty decent, especially the GMG Season Pass version. If you really enjoy first-person puzzlers, or you've watched enough gameplay to be convinced you'll enjoy it, then that Season Pass is definitely the way to go. If you're on the fence, then wait for a sale, where it should see deep discounts, although you may have to dig to find it given the title's current obscurity. If memory serves, it also was just recently bundled, which means you might find it making the rounds on all the popular bundle sites soon enough. For every dozen games trying to ride another's coattails, there is usually one that manages to transcend the mediocrity and stand on its own. Set in a non-Euclidean maze, meaning it exists in more than the 3 dimensions you know and love, Antichamber once again manages to break the mold and do something utterly unique. It's a very hard game to describe other than to say that it really is trying to break your brain. Thinking outside the box isn't going to cut it. You need to be able to think outside your understanding of what a box is. And also a lot of what you know about how video games work needs to be forgotten. The thing is, if you're at all interested based on the snippet of gameplay you're seeing here and the vague description I'm giving, then you should avoid learning anything else before you play if at all possible. Whatever you do not look up any speedruns until you've finished at least once. It will absolutely ruin the fun. That being said, you definitely should look up a speedrun once you have completed the game. As the most puzzling of the puzzlers on this list, it is a little hard to judge how much you'll get out of it. For me, it clocked in approximately at a respectable 12 hours, but I wasn't in a rush and I found every room, often multiple times. With a little luck, a dogged pursuit of nothing but the end, and some good problem-solving skills, you'll definitely cut that time significantly. Any immediate replayability will be found in the form of speedrunning, which, if you can figure out without help, is a major accomplishment, or finding every room if you didn't on your first playthrough. After that, nothing changes, like most puzzle games, so replaying would be simply a retread. The base price of $20 is a decent deal for the content alone, but given the quality and unique nature of said content, it's actually excellent value. That being said, price cuts of 75% or more are common at various retailers throughout the year, and bring the price criminally low. Beyond that, this game has found itself in a bundle on a few occasions, but given the time you could spend waiting for that to happen again, and the quality of the title, my personal recommendation is just to buy it now, or at most, the next time it is on sale. Okay, let's tally them up. Portal is, well, Portal. It's the gold standard, and you've probably already played it. If you haven't, then you should before anyone finds out. I promise I won't tell. Quantum Conundrum has an interesting set of mechanics, which it unfortunately can't manage to wield effectively for more than a few hours. Pick it up on sale if at all, and drop it once it bores you. Antichamber is indescribable and terrific, completely worth the cost of entry and time invested. That's all I have today. Thank you for watching. Drop any suggested topics in the comments, and have a great non-specific time of day.